All right, here we go. Whew, it's too hot. All right, let's see here. Do you want... hello, Marilyn. All right, here we go. David. Add. Hey, Naveen. What's going on here? There's David. All right, so David, I see. Okay, it's coming. He's coming. I've got my glasses. Okay. Who else we got here? Kelly Bird. Okay, you on now, David?
Yeah, I'm it.
Okay, let me get my volume up. Okay, so let's see what we can do. Let me open it on the computer. We'll get started in just a second. There's Anastasia. Okay, let's see. So what I want to do is go into my page. Yeah, so we had a little technical difficulty, but that's not going to stop us from having a great
That's
show.
right. That's right. Mainly
we haven't used the Facebook Live in a while. That's okay. So let me just share it around to Soulogy Network. Oh, we got 38 people coming in and counting. All right. There's one. These shows resonate with you. Please share. Hey, Dr. Joe. Hey, Sue Fitz. Thank you for your continued love, support, and contributions, and everybody else that allows us to do what we're doing. All right. Okay. Okay. So, all right. Let's see what we got in the house here. All right. So we got a lot of people here. Terry Duro, Linda Winger, Shannon Corona, Patricia Satchwell, Mariana Teopida, Duncan Alexander, Marilyn Biggers, Stephen Michael Jones from Norway, Megan McMahon. It's too many. But we welcome Mary Cooper, who's...
Yeah, the main ones on there, my old twin flame, Anastasia, and some of my martial art crew are there, and some of my lovely brothers and sisters who have come on from my brother Martu, passed on there. So all good, great.
Martu's there, cool.
He's got
your twin is there.
Yeah. Oh, she's definitely there. She's always there.
Y'all have this. Y'all right. Y'all have the same. Hey, John Crawley's here. We had a great time with him the other day. He's awesome. A gentleman by the name of William Sherman's here from West Africa, Monrovia, Liberia. All right, man.
How you doing,
Orlando,
people?
Florida.
Excellent.
Right on, Sweden. A couple of people from Sweden. Okay, so yeah, you guys, you and Anastasia are going dealing with the same challenge Morgan and I had to deal with for so long. Yeah, but you know what? It's worth it. There ain't no doubt about it.
Oh, 100%.
So let me just, let me roll the show out formally. Let me just welcome you all to the Soulogy.One network and welcome our beloved brother, David Karanakita. Karanakita. I'm not sure if I said it right, but welcome to the show.
You said it right, mate. You said it right.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Well, that's good. I finally got one name right. I never thought it'd be a white person with a vowel on the last name. I usually get the I usually mess up the Spanish names, and I'm Spanish. So yeah, it's a pleasure to have you here. Your brother's been on, your divine's been on, your beloved. So it's a pleasure to meet you.
An absolute pleasure to be on here as well. Yeah.
Thank you for sharing space with us and honoring us with your presence today. I was looking at your page to kind of get a feel for you. I forget how this all came about. Your brother, Matu Ra, he sent me a note a week or so after the last time he was on the show, and he said, "Would you have my brother on?" I'm like, "Yeah." And then Anastasia, she was on the show. She goes, "Would you have my beloved on the show? He's also Matu Ra's brother." And I'm like, "Wait, I already said yeah." But the thing is I had a bunch of stuff going on. Morgan left, and she was a lot more organized than me. And anyway, I just lost track of it with a bunch of other ones. So I'm really glad that, it's perfect timing today. Perfect timing. So you're living, are you in the same neighborhood as your brother over there?
I'm probably about, he's half a mile away from me at this moment. I just spoke to him a few minutes ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's
I
half a
kind of
mile
got that
away.
impression. Yeah, I kind of got that impression because I went to your page. First of all, you're very humble, and I can see you know, some of us are cursed or blessed with being real loud and gregarious, and some of us, you know, are smarter and a little bit more reserved. And
Mhm.
you know, those are always the people that you want to ask
Yeah,
what's going on
yeah,
because they observe everything.
yeah.
But I
I,
saw the influence of the energy of the martial arts, the family, and the spirituality.
yeah,
It looks like you guys have a really good synergy over there. And I remember talking to your brother about the brothers, your
yeah,
family,
yeah.
and it seemed
Fam
like
Family's very, very important to me, but also, you know, my physical family. It's not just because they're my physical family, but there's a, you know, I mean, especially with my two brothers, my sister, and that there is a divine connection. And that's a big difference there.
yeah,
My spiritual family, or that I've always said that it's not just about the flesh and blood side of thing. It's, you know, there's much more deeper in that. And me, my brother Chris, and my brother Martu, that it has been a long, long journey we're on. Very, very, very blessed to have them in my life, and my sister and that. Very blessed.
you guys seem to carry a vibration of an I'm just going to say an older generational, maybe ancestral lineage. That's the impression I
Yeah,
get.
yeah,
Like
yeah. Well,
you guys,
again,
is there is
I don't like to get too caught up in labels and things, but you know,
yeah.
I'll be honest, I do feel that quite an old sod, and not just in the human, but in this
Yeah.
in soul as well. I do, yeah.
Well, I mean, is it common or uncommon, or has it ever happened? I mean, do you guys, your brothers and your sister and your family, have you had experiences? You know, what people call paranormal
Uh,
gifts, or I mean, is
it's
there like a commonality
yeah, yeah,
in the
yeah.
family?
With especially me and Martu, obviously, and my sister's had had her moments. My brother Chris, who's living over Dubai now, he's had his ways, but it's always been in their own unique ways. You know, me and Martu particular have very similar because you know we do have that similar in nature and all that. But my own journey, if I look back now, it's been gone on for a long, long, long time. If you know, I remember when I was a child, and you know, unfortunately, we went through a lot of challenges in our childhood, and there were times where I would disappear off and you know, get away and go into nature. Nature is a very I have such an affinity with nature. Training, studying, and nature, they're like the trinity that have kept me sane through my human side and through many, many challenges in the spirit. And yeah, ever since I was a child, I've always known I used to when I used to try and get away from sort of trauma and things that was going on when I was younger. I'd go off and I'd look up at the stars and I'd think to myself, I don't want to be here no more. What's going on? I really don't want to be here. Now, later on, as I got older and I had, you know, more powerful out of body experiences and tried to, decipher these and understand them, I realized I wasn't sort of thinking, oh, I wanted to return to spirit world. I honestly think there were times I was remembering past lives that I'd had in other realms or other dimensions, which are a lot more advanced than here. And I think that was a
Yeah.
call because I stare up at the stars, and whether I'm in the mountains or I'm out, you know, walking in locally, and I have a great affinity, particular with Orion the Hunter star. And I remember Solara,
What
who
is that? Yeah.
gone.
No, I was going to say, what is that? That's really become more prominent in the not just for me, but I've seen more
Yeah,
and more of it. I'd say over the last 6 months. Do you have any idea of what your connection is to?
yeah, yeah. I do. Yeah, I do. I've done a lot of thinking about it, and when I look up at them stars, you know, I remember, God, it must have been about 12, 13 years ago. I was down in the sort of Cornwall on holiday, and down in a beautiful place called Boscastle. they've got a spiritual shop in there, and it's meant to be the oldest in the whole of England at the time. Then it was about 40 years old, and this is, you know, a good 10 odd years ago. And I remember walking in there, and they had these books, and they were, you know, second-hand books that they're doing. And I see this one big book that I was drawn towards. It's called 1111 by the author Solara, and I picked it up, and it straight away had a tingle go through me, and I took that book and read that, and it was talking about the 1111 gateway, you know, that number, the 11, and about 2012, where people were believing that, you know, some people were going to, you know, ascend, and they mentioned a lot about the three stars on Orion, the El Ra, and that they balance up the dark and the light, and that the archangel Metatron apparently is the overseer of it. And I remember thinking, well, that resonates big time with myself and all that. You know, I've always, you know, if I'm honest, I've never, one of my most important things to me is balance. You know, you know, I went like a lot of people. I've been on this journey for a long, long time now, and a lot of people, I got, how do I say this without being judgmental? I got a bit sidetracked by the light. You know, I think when you've gone through a lot of human trauma, and you know, like I said, I spent in my childhood, I was in children's homes. I went to boot camp, Borstal. I spent nearly 2 decades struggling through prison and drug addiction. And the main event that happened to me was, you know, like, I'm nearly 55 now. It's about I think I was about 29, and I was at my rock bottom through this particular stage in my life. I'd gone through seeing the changes in the prison times. You know, it was becoming more and more difficult, and I was losing all belief in myself. And the night before, armed police turned up for me. I know for a fact if I didn't have this experience at the time, I think I probably would have just run out there into them guns, and I wouldn't be here. And that was probably the most profound experience, paranormal experience, whatever you want to call it, I ever had in my life. Because when I look back at the time, a lot of people who knew me back in those days, they were so shocked at the change in me. You know, some of them actually, we used to laugh about it. They said, "Do you know what, Dave? We know you're not exactly a religious person. But we thought you'd become a happy, slappy, born again Christian, because the difference is now, as we know, it's almost like a fashion. You know, you can talk to people. They talk about the chakras, you know, spiritual talk now is so common. But 25 years ago, 20 years ago, it seemed to be either you were a religious or an atheiist. So anything that was slightly different was so strange. And you know, so when
or a lunatic.
yeah, that's right. Yeah, I mean, I don't mind that side, because I always joke about people. People go, "You're bloody mad, you are, Dave." And I go, "Well, I heard that madness and genius is a very fine line, and my excuse is that if I play on both, I won't get trapped out on either one. The ego thinking I'm a genius, on the ego will go into mad and get lost altogether. You have to lose yourself to find yourself, so to speak." Yeah. But now there's been a ongoing many times. Another event I remember happened to me, which was quite a powerful event. When I was about 20, I got myself in a little bit of mischief, and I went under this bridge. It was November, freezing cold and ice, and I fell through the ice. Now I've always been fairly fit. Yeah, I went through this ice, and at first, you know, I was, you know, while I was trying to swim. Then I suddenly realised, it's a funny old thing when you suddenly realise that, wait a minute, I'm in serious trouble here. And I started to panic, and I just couldn't get to the surface. And before I know it, and it was the first strange one that really, really got me thinking at the time. It's almost like I had this flashback, and you hear about people talking about when they're on that death's door, they sort of flash back to things. But the thing that happened to me is I went back. I've got a very vague memory of my childhood, probably about 7 or 8, but I could see clearly back to when I was a young child, a baby in my mum's arm. But the stranger thing was, it was all of a sudden it then went forward, and I knew I was going to have a son. And I just had this feeling that here I am, they're going to drag me out this river. I've been up to mischief. I'm running away from the police, and I've gone through this ice. Oh, who's going to miss me? And there's like this deep sadness in there. And I think, and I'm not going to have the opportunity to have this son. The next thing, it's like all of a sudden, I'm back aware in this water. I'm going, absolutely, no, I don't want this. And fuck, like I'm breaking through this ice in this river. There was ducks going mad, all flying all over the place. And I dragged myself out onto the side of the river, and I started spewing up this water. And I thought, and just to skip back a little bit, when I went under that bridge, the reason I went under that bridge because up the road there probably was a couple of dozen police officers and dogs all looking for me.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so that's why I went under this bridge and took the risk to go under to try and get under a bridge that took me into a park, but then trying to escape. So here I am, ducks all going mad, spewing up this water, and I was just looking up, expecting the police to be, and I thought, just take me away. And then I become aware there was no one. And eventually I pulled myself and I looked, and I can honestly say I don't know what time span went by, Todd, but I can honestly know there was dozens, and then there was nothing. There was no one around, nothing. And I remember sort of looking around, and eventually got myself home and chucking some snowballs at the window of my house. My brother ran, going, come out, what's going on? I said, look, just let me in, let me in. And I got up the room just in time before my dad said, what's going on? You know, and 18 months later, at the age of, I just coming up to 21, my girlfriend gave birth to my son.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's wild.
Yeah. So when you say about many, there's been loads of different events. Yeah.
Wow. That's amazing. It sounds like you collapsed a bunch of timelines in some type of vortex there under the water.
That's right. Yeah. I'm a great believer in that. You know what I mean? Of one thing, the only thing that's close to my heart than training, and that's helped me through the childhood, through the prison, I then left prison behind and worked for nearly 20 years with behavioural problem children, residential outreach, was always my training helped me. But I've always had I'm like a sponge to come learn. I used to read and read and read. And, so I've always been, when I'm aware of like timelines down, I just look back and I think some of the stuff, if I hadn't, it's almost like it was preparing me to try and understand the feeling. Because Anastasia, one of the greatest gifts she taught me was she said, Dave, don't think, feel.
Yeah.
Because as soon as you think, it goes back, and think is a great thing, but as soon as you think, it takes you into the realm of the brain. And the brain, as we say, we use about, I don't know, about 8-10% of the brain, and they think, oh, we'd be like a super human if we could use all the brain. But it's still limited to what information is in the brain. When it comes to the feeling, to me, the feeling takes you dead connection to your soul. Of course, you've got the acoustic records, all these sorts of things. But being able to, all the reading I've done, if I hadn't had that, it's almost something to go back and to try and understand the terminology when I'm going for my feeling. And then you realize, like some of the people say, that sometimes the more you know, the less you know. And it's like you get a feeling what resonates. And then you realize the intellect's an amazing thing, but it's a feeling. And I find now, as I've got older and more peaceful, I feel and understand a lot more than I can try and explain.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have a connection to the elementals, to the nature spirits, nature beings?
All right. I do. I remember back again when after I had that last major out of body experience the night before the armed police turned up, and when I left prison, within 10 days of living my last prison sentence at 31, I'm nearly 55 now, I got together, this is a combination and a half, with another ex-prisoner and an ex-prison governor. So you imagine back in those days, we were quite the thing, 2 ex-cons and an ex-prison governor. And we used to do workshops for different professionals, police officers, youth workers, and so on. Now, when we used to share our stories about, our childhood and how we end up escalating into homes and into prison, and et cetera, and what changed. And then we'd have a break. And then afterwards, there'd be like a feedback just for them to understand what could they take back and learn from us, so they could, take some sort of information that could be helpful when they're working with youth. Now, I used to say to my boss at the time, the ex-prison governor, I said, they're going to think I'm a fruitcake if I explain. He goes, and he wasn't too much into it. He said, Dave, if that's what you believed happened, just be honest. So I used to go in there and I'd tell them and explain what happened, because I'd say, what made you change? And I'd say, if I'm honest, I got fed up with what I put my family through, put myself through, the dishonesty stuff. I said, but actually the main thing that happened, and then I explained this experience to them. And then afterwards, most of them would come up and they'd want to know more about that. And it was the same as actually because, sorry to skip back a bit, but when I actually had that experience, when the armed police came and it stopped, obviously I still had to go into prison there. I think even the solicitors told me they thought the police thought I was a bit of a loony then, because they completely surrounded this bungalow. It was the armed police, and I just walked out there like blissful. It's madness, but I walked out there and they all got the guns pointing at me, and I'm saying, it'll be all right. And they go, look, we'll get down. And I remember, because it was such a big operation, they had a commander of the police who was overlooking it. I think there was about 80 odd police involved at the time they came for me, and there was about 30 armed guns and all sorts. And
Jesus.
yeah.
There was just it was just a little bit of mischief, right?
Oh, it was a build up of stuff here. I've never been involved in. The only time I ever held a live gun was once I went to America about 25 years ago, and someone showed me this gun, and I fired it, and it scared the hell out of me. But I've never, it's an escalation of things that built up, and I'd got myself in all sorts of things. Yeah,
it's a blessing.
Yeah. But anyway, what I was trying to explain there then is that obviously I had to go into prison, and the first thing I'd done is I thought I wanted to try and understand what I'd experienced. When I used to share it with people, and they say, well, what happened? I said, well, do you know, it's hard to explain. I said, the only way, because I love using analogies. I think analogies, you can be a genius, or you can be a down-to-earth person, understand analogies. And what I used to say to people when they asked, because so many people say, what happened, Dave? I said, look, bear with me, because it's so real when you're there, but try and explain. I said, just imagine for a moment, I said, if we had a time machine and you went back in time and you got a caveman and you brought him back now and you showed him, technology and all bits and pieces. I said, then you dropped him back off and his old mates would be going, what happened? What went on there? He'd have nothing to confer to, would he? And I said, when you have an out-of-body experience and you completely open out from all the limitations that your mind and your humanness has on there, it's so much more. I said, but at the time I said, it's just like you're totally unlimited. But anyway, when I went into prison, the first thing I'd done, I just thought, because I didn't have nothing to compare it with, I walked into there, a church there in this prison. I walked in, I spoke to the chaplain, and I just started to explain what happened. The first thing he did is he looked at me. You can see in his eyes now. He thought, "What the hell? No, I don't know nothing about that." And that's when a sequence of events started happening. It was almost like people started to tune into me, and they'd come in and say, "Hi, mate. I heard that you had some sort of experience." I said, yeah. And the next thing, there'd be people opening up. For example, someone would say, "Well, I thought I was going a bit fruity and all that." I said, "Well, just explain, mate. What are you on about?" He goes, "Well, I was getting in a car chase and." Done the usual, turned the lights off and just dim the lights. And I went through this farmer's field that lose the police, and I lost control. I said, yeah, carry on. He goes, the next thing, the car crashed. And he goes, and this, well, I think I'd gone losing the plot. I swear I weren't on drugs enough. He goes, but I was looking down at myself in the car. Now, more and more people do this. Now, because of my love of books, I don't know how this book ended up in the prison library, but I come across a book, I think it's Out on a Limb by the actress Shirley MacLaine.
Yeah.
So I'm started reading this book about her travels in Mexico and meeting shamans. I thought, that sounds a lot more what happened to me. Then I read a second book, and then the third book I ever read all them years ago had a massive, and that was a Dan Millman, Way of the Peaceful Warrior.
I love that book.
For me, being into the martial arts, by trying that really, and then from then on, it's just like these books that give references. So I literally read hundreds and hundreds of books on there, and then I on my end of the sentence, I was at a more open prison, getting ready to be released, and the chaplain there was quite an open person, and they used to have sort of like little times for people to get together and share their experiences. Well, I remember he had a bit of a trust in me, and I said, look, if you open up to different people's experiences, I said, I think you'll get a lot more people, and instead of just people wanting to go there and get out of their cells and all that, you know. And we ended up having going from about half a dozen people used to turn up on a Sunday morning to go and have the biscuits and tea and chat to nearly 100 people. And because of that, he then said, look, Dave, what are you doing when you get out of prison? I said, do you know what? I don't know. All I know is I'm never, after what I've experienced, I'm never going to get into trouble again. I said, but I just feel that I need to do something. He goes, well, I know this person. He's an ex-prison governor. And it was him who put me onto this, you know, this prison governor who came and visited me and said, look, we need to work together. And then I left there and we started doing the workshops, and then I started sharing with other people. But then I remember we started up a drop-in centre, and I used to, you know, was using some of my martial arts, and I got myself qualified as a mountain instructor and a climb instructor, doing things. And I remember chatting to another friend there. He was an art person. He had an experience that changed him, and he left all his crime behind. And I used to have people saying to me, Dave, well, and I won't go too much into detail about things that happened to me as a child at this moment, Todd, but I faced a lot of things, you know, a hell of a lot of things. And people, professionals and colleagues would say, Dave, you should go and get some counselling and deal with this. And I used to say, look, I don't want to be arrogant. I said, but have you ever seen the film Good Will Hunting? I said, I'm a bit like that lad in there, you know what I mean? You know, maybe not a genius in the mind, but I'd go and have the odd counselling, and then sometimes the counsellor said, you know what, Dave, I can't help you. You seem to be more understand of that. So I used to just fake it to make it, to be honest with you. So I used to carry on, pretend that I'm all right. Well, my friend, he said he was visiting this professional counsellor, but she was also a medium. I thought, I wouldn't mind having that, because I always had this thought in my head. If I go to counselling and they start saying, do you know what, Dave, this belief thing, that's just something you've put in there to help you deal with things. So I always this thing. So when I heard that there was and I had 2 sessions. Now again, I've always been one of these ones of very untrustworthy in certain things. I'm very careful what information I get, you know. So on the third session with her, I said, I heard that you're one of these psychics, and she went, Dave, we're here to deal with your trauma at the moment and all that. So, oh no, I just heard. She goes, well, could you do something? She goes, okay, I'll do something. So she got out a load of coloured ribbons. You know, there are hundreds of them, all different shades of colours. And straight away, my mind was thinking, oh yeah, lighter colours going to mean good things. So automatically, you think you're in control and you're being not given. Well, I picked these 3 colours, and the next thing, the information she gave out just blew me away. I knew there's no way. And then the next thing, she started moving around, and I said, she goes, Dave, someone's trying to come through. She goes, what happens sometimes I can, a person will come into my body. I said, what, like the film Ghost? She goes, and she laughs, she said, similar like that. Now, sorry to skip back a bit, but one of the paramount times through my prison life, there'd always be moments when I was at my rock bottom, when I would seriously feel like I'd had enough. For some reason, always be something would come into my life to salvage me. And one particular time when I was involved in a very serious thing, where there had been a dispute going on in the local prison, so the prison officers were going on strike, so they were not allowing any more prisoners to be remanded, and I was remanded in a police station for 8 weeks. And in that time, unfortunately, you know, I got married when I was about 22, something like that. My father, bless his heart, was coming in and telling me that something, you know, she was messing around with different fellas. I was 23, very insecure, all sorts going on. It was, you know, the next thing, police come up to me and said, look, we need to talk to you about your wife and that. And I think, what the hell did they get involved? Cut a long story short, Todd, someone I knew went round the house she's having an affair with. They went round there again to see her. She was out partying with someone else. There was a 12-year-old baby, a young girl looking after a daughter of mine, who was about a toddler at the time. And he got frustrated and he raped this 12-year-old. Now, they told me all this, and this is why I end up escaping from the police station. So to try and get the idea about when I ended up to the stage where the armed police come, there was an escalation of things that came in. Anyway, I ended up escaping twice. I ended up hijacking a prison coach. I really lost the plot and I was going out to hunt this person down. Well, I met this girl whilst this is all going on. And I remember sitting there down when she says, "What are you going to do then?" I said, and I just burst into tears. I said, "I don't know." She goes, "You couldn't hurt someone." I said, "I don't know." And I said, "I don't know how I got to myself this situation. Since a young thing, I've been in and out of stuff, and here I am." And she says, "Did your wife, because you're such a loving, caring person, did your wife used to push you away when you were?" I said, "Yeah." What? And then this girl went to explain. She goes, "That's because, if you don't mind me saying, Dave, that girl was probably abused." What makes you think that? And then she told me her story that since the age of about 8 till 13, she'd been constantly raped and abused by her grandfather. She eventually told
Yeah.
her mum and dad, who didn't take this on board. The reason I'm telling you that she completely changed me there and helped salvage me there, and I ended up handing myself into prison. Went back to prison then, and you know, and this person was paramount in my life at that time because
Yeah.
imagine the rape that.
12 years old.
Even though I escaped, I became a role model prisoner because probation officers and social never could suss me out. They'd always wonder, I'd always get paroled, or even the things I've been, because no one ever once sat down and asked me, "Dave, what's going on?" So when I worked for them 18 years with kids in care, I used to be really good at it because I'd always think, "I wonder what their story." I never forgot that. Now, the reason I mentioned this Jane girl is that she helped me through all the sentence. I had that Woman's Own magazine got in touch because they liked the story, martial art man escapes, fine person, hand himself in, loving it, and they were going to pay for our wedding, you know, and we're going to be a night and wrote all about it. So everything was going great. Well, a few days before I was due to get released, she committed suicide, and that absolutely near enough destroyed me. And I used to always think, what the hell would I do? Every time something would come along, stop me in my tracks, happen. Now, the reason I'm saying is because going back to this counsellor woman who's now bringing this person through, this Jane at the
Oh my God.
time, she was a 4'11", London accent, strong. When I knew her back when I first met her, wherever she went, everyone who see her, their eyes would light up. There's Jane. Hiya, Jane. She was such an amazing, amazing person. So when this Sally started acting like this and speaking, and all she kept saying, she goes, "There's this girl where she's got this cockney accent, got tattoos on her arms." I think, how the hell not even spoke? And I knew 100% Jane was in this woman's body. It's mad. I know 100% she's there. And she kept saying, "Dave, if only you knew, they even love you up here. They love you." And I was going, "What you want on?" And she
Yeah.
looked at this and she goes, "Okay," she goes, "there's a Chinese person here. I can tell you that you need to do more meditation to center yourself. There's an Native American Indian on a horse in the distance, but he won't come forward. I'm trying to suss this out." She goes, "And there's an energy behind you, my God, it's so powerful." She goes, and she went, "All right, I got it." She goes, "The Indian and the horse is just symbol," because she goes, "All that Chinese Indian people always ask why that it's just symbol. Spirit just comes and forms to be easy for us to associate with." It's saying that you've been through so much trauma in this life and in other lives that you need to deal with these things because you've got something you're going to do in the future. And if they
Yeah.
relieve to you now, you're going to go off on a tangent and I go, "Oh, well, how long? How long?" 15, 20 years. And I think, oh my God. Well, I used to remember sitting in circles of people, and I'd see all these people, who could see auras and see spirit. And I used to remember saying, "Cool, you lot are all right. You know what I mean? You can do this." And there'd be different teachers say, "Dave, when you come to your thing, you wait and see what you do." And
Yeah.
sorry to get going on a bit of a tangent, but when you were sitting in
No, I think it's,
circles 20,
yeah.
25 years ago, again, like that, it's all fashionable now. Everyone's talking about, oh, this auras do this and that. But in those days, for some reason, especially in the circles, do the spiritual circles and exchange the energy, and we used to send energy out to people. It used to mainly be middle-aged ladies. So there'd been
Yeah.
me there, when I was younger, with my partner at the time who was quite spiritual, and there'd be some of the other women say to my partner, said, "You're lucky having him." She goes, "Well, I don't know about lucky with him." She goes, "No, no, but what I mean is that my old man thinks I'm a bloody fruitcake, us coming here there." And the teacher then said, in the future, when it becomes more open across the world, you know, people will come through different things, but people like Dave are being their different element to attract different, because they think he's not the usual sort of being all this sort of thing, and that's how it's seemed to have gone all through these years, you know. And I can honestly say, about 3 years ago, it really come to the 3, 4 years ago, it came to its climax, and that's when I was at rock bottom. A relationship I've been through for 17 years. My present daughter, she was, bless her, thought, didn't know what was going through me, and I just knew another massive event, and I've had so many events come. I thought, is it ever going to give? I had to walk away from the game I loved, the care game, the second breakdown there, because it all changed, and I think, what am I going to do? I just knew Spirit had big plans for me, and I remember sitting there thinking, please, I can't deal with this anymore, and all of a sudden, out of the blue, I'd been monitoring Anastasia and had nothing to do with them. I'd seen her, and all of a sudden, I had a message come through from her. I have something important to share with you. Would you like it? And I think, this amazing
Was that
person. I said, yeah, plumbing, right. So I click, yes, yes, yes. And I remember walking up this lane, and I think, yes, there's something powerful about it. And then I went back.
When was this?
The message, and she just sent
When
this.
was,
Sorry?
when was this? How long ago was this?
Probably about 3 to 4 years ago now.
Wow.
And then, yeah.
And so you just got it out of the blue. You said, I've
Yeah.
had enough. What the hell? And
I'd
then out
seen
of the
on a
blue.
Blue Beyond, and I've been, you know, because now, to be honest with you, you know, and I say this all humbleness, the main thing for me, that's why it's one of my favourite sayings: the dark, the shadows, the bright, the light. You know, I always say, I see this day, I see sometimes some people get a little bit on a tangent, you know, saying something's negative, something positive, and I know sometimes I come up with that judgment. Now, obviously, in my soul, I know what we mean when we're saying about judgment on the negative. So, you know, we're all part of that family. We're all connected. And when I had my experience, I know 1,000,000,000%, there's no doubt ever been from the moment I had that main power, I've never, ever stopped loving everything. I think all life, dark and light, it's all part of the thing. But something that's always stayed with me is that I'm my human. And by the way, Karanakita is the spirit name I give. My actual human name is David Fell, and Fell. And I used to laugh because when people heard I was a client, said, well, that's a hell of a name, Fell. Yeah, and I laugh. I said, yeah, but actually over here it means, in Scottish, it's a Scottish name, it means summit, top. So it's almost like my human ever give me that name, Fell. I always joke, you got to fall, you got to lose yourself to find yourself, and all this. So there's all these. So I've always known my human self is just as beautiful and important as my spirit self. Now my divine self has probably got a bit more or a heads up, obviously, in these times. But again, I say to people, I said, you know, I got drawn into that bit about the bliss and the light almost, and I can empathise that. You know, when you're seeing the trauma of stuff out there, it's easy to think, do you know what? You get up and them stars, and you think, I want to stay up there, and you give yourself your names, and you do, and I want to be this. And I've nearly got trapped in that light. And sometimes I've joked to people and said, look, I said, you've got to be a bit careful because, you know, obviously we come in this world, we want to find the light, but ain't we already the light? And we're coming into the
It's a dog. You know, it's a dog chasing its tail.
Yeah. So I used to say that, you know, I can understand. I said a bit like the old creepy horror films, you know, and you used to laugh at them when, you know, you see these horror films and there's a noise down in the cellar. We all think, you don't go down the cellar, don't know, but people do, and you've got this like fear.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, I say to people, you know, if you have to go down in the cellar because the lights have gone off, you slowly walk down there to find the source of what's turned the light and light it on. I use an analogy here, obviously. So you go steady, but you have to go down in that dark to find out what the problem. But in the light, same as on a sunny day, you're driving along and the sun's blaring in there. You don't put your foot down, do you? And go in. And I say sometimes you've got to be very careful. And I heard people call it the false light. And I used to say to some people, when I said, think about the old hunters. And I'm not going to get on the judgmental hunters. I love all the animals, but you know, everyone for their own thing. But at night, sometimes they had the old lanterns, don't they? And they shine up, and the poor old rabbit or fox, and he's looking, he stares at the light. Next thing, bang. So I said to people, I said, and it's just my opinion, I said, sometimes you've got to be very careful. You don't get blinded by the light as well. I said, just my simple way, but I honestly think we're already the light. So why would we be coming here to find more light? Sure, we're coming into the shadow to learn and become more. And then maybe we shine a light bit more there because we remember who we are.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. Extreme light is no better or worse than extreme dark. You know?
100%. Yeah.
Hey, I wish we'd have got, well, anyway, it doesn't matter.
I've got on right one and I.
So. No. I have to go. I have to go. And unfortunately, we got a late start, but I'll reach out to you in the next day or two, and then work with you on this tech thing and see what we can arrange.
Yeah.
If you're interested, we can sit down again.
100%. 100%. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I feel well, I resonate big time with you, my friend, and obviously I can feel all the energy out there. And again, Todd, I just want to be part of the whole thing. You know, I mean, I don't want to bring anything different or the same. I just think, it's like the old rainbow. We joke in the last year, we call ourselves, we're the Rainbow Warriors. And the rainbow is made up of many different colours, and we know the rainbow leads us to the gold, and the gold is unique to us. So I just want to bring that bit, and it's special for us. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I loved it, man. I love
you, son.
You take care. I'll reach out to you in the next day or two.
Okay, my friend. And I mean that, bro.
All right.
I can see that love in your eyes, mate. You're special. And thank you for
Vice
having
versa.
me on. And love all these people out there as well. That hope you didn't get too lost with me.
There you go. Check y'all out later. We'll be back later this afternoon. Brilliant. See you later, David. I'll talk to you soon.
Yeah,
bye. Thank you very much.
And you, my brother.